Jai Sadgurudeo. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to weekly English Satsang organized by North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga. My name is Rituraj and I have joined the Satsang from Connecticut. Before I proceed further, I would like to offer my prayers to the lotus feet of Sadgurudeo. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Dev Maheswara. Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. In the current times, our day-to-day life has become busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and social responsibilities. In this fast-paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So, first, I would like to congratulate each one of you for taking some time from your busy schedule to fulfill the requirements of your soul through satsang. Now, we will transition to the core segment of this satsang, the spiritual discourse segment. Uh, it's not a monologue, it's kind of an interactive session. It will be like in a dialogue format. This session helps us deepen our understanding and confidence in sharing the profound knowledge of Vihangam Yoga. I'm delighted to introduce Srirangji, who joins us from North Carolina. Many of us would have seen him driving the effort in like organizing the Swamiji's session that we do every year. So he basically like indulge in guiding all the folks, packing and unpacking all the things that goes in for the tent or for the program. So today he'll be sharing knowledge on this Jur and Chetan. Over to you, Srirangji.
Jai Sadgurudeo, everyone. Thank you, Rituraj.
Srirangji. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Rituraj and Navy team for giving me this seva opportunity. So, before I begin, I would like to offer my prayers at the holy feet of Lord Sadgurudeo, and I request all of you to keep your eyes closed and remember Sadguru. बार बार वंदन करूं सदगुरुदेव हमार, यहाँ वहाँ सब ठाम में महिमा अपरंपार। शरण शरण मैं शरण हूँ, हे गुरु बंदी छोर। मोहे उबारो हे गुरो, यह सो बार निहोर। Jai Sadgurudev, everyone. So our today's topic, Jad and Chetan, we have discussed about this in the past. Various speakers have talked about it. I will try to present this topic, the way I understand it. So it is possible that I make mistakes because I'm also learning, like all of you. And in fact, whatever I have learned is from survey and listening to various experienced people, like you who are there in the satsang. So I'm really humbled that I have been given this opportunity to talk about this topic, present my understanding. So if I make mistakes, please forgive me and just correct me. So when we talk about Jad and Chetan, it is very important to understand the difference between Jad and Chetan, or the inert entities and the conscious entities. Because if you really look at the spirituality, right, the word itself talks about a spirit, which in itself is a conscious entity. And that's why it is very important for us to understand the difference between Jad and Chetan, or inert and conscious, because this whole knowledge, the spirituality, is all about the conscious entities and the journey of conscious entity from its purest form to the I would say the most gross form, or where it gets indulged or entangled with this uh, prakritic creation, or the worldly creation, and then its journey back to where it came from, to the purest form, or hansadeha. So it is very essential for us to understand the difference. So if you simply try to understand the difference between jad or inert entity and the conscious entity, there are three properties which set them apart. You know, and those properties are described in Swarved. So I'm going to recite the Duha, because that is where Swamiji has talked about the properties of the conscious entities which set them apart from the inert entities. So the Doha says, Ichha Jnana Prayatnave Chetanatva Jan Jada Prakriti में नहीं बने जग उत्पादक ज्ञान. So there are these three properties which are possessed by the conscious entities. Those are desire, knowledge, and effort. And these properties are not there with the inert entities. And because they do not have these properties, or they lack these properties, the inert entities cannot perform any action on their own. So we know that this universe is built from inert prakriti, right? The prakriti is you can refer to as a building block, or the raw material for building this universe. In spirituality, they are also called as parmanus, using which this whole universe comes into existence, right? But this prakriti, or these parmanus, do not have these three properties which are possessed by conscious entities, knowledge, desire, and effort. The prakriti by itself cannot take any action on its own. It needs intervention from a conscious entity for this prakriti to get converted into the world, or the universe that we know of, or the modern science knows about. So this universe comes into existence from desire of Supreme Soul, and when Supreme Soul desires the creation, the actual action within the Mool Prakriti happens through the vibrations of Akshar Brahma. So Akshar Brahma appears in the 1/4 quadrant, where the Prakriti exists, or these Parmanus exist, and with its vibration, or because of that action, the equilibrium in the trigunas of Prakriti is broken. They are without vibrations of Akshar Brahma. The Sattva, Raja, and Tamo guns of the Prakriti, they are in equilibrium. There is no movement happening at all, and that is why it is at the equilibrium state. Nothing is moving, or nothing is happening in there. Once the activity or action happens because of Akshar Brahma's vibration, this equilibrium is broken, and with um the churning, if you will, in that prakriti, or the uh, you know in the prakriti, or the parmanus, we start seeing formation of panchatattva, like ether, air, fire, water, earth. They come into existence, and then the further interaction happens, and then we see the rest of the universe coming into picture. So any entity that does not have desire, knowledge, or effort, which are the properties of conscious entities as we just discussed, we can consider them as inert. So we look at the creatures in this universe. We'll try to understand, because this in more detail. Because when we look at all the creatures within world, we may think that the boundary between Jad and Chetan might get blurry a little bit there. So let's try to understand it in more detail. So we have these 84 lakh yonis, or we have these kind of infinite number of yonis, um, which are basically different kind of creatures that we see, or these are all living beings. Yeah, but we want to understand if this body itself, is it a conscious, because when we call a particular creature living being, that means it can perform actions, it can make decisions, etc. So let's try to understand if this body itself, is it a conscious entity or not. uh, so a question might arise that our body, or we have these sensory organs, and we do have desires, we also take efforts to fulfill those desires. So is this body a conscious, or is it a inert, right? um, so spiritually speaking, the body is inert, because it is made up from the prakriti, from those prakriti, sat, raj, and tamogun. That's the basic building block of everything within this universe. Our bodies are also made from those prakritic parmanus. So why is this body inert then? We feel the pain when we are hurt, right? When we feel the hunger, we feel the thirst. We also take efforts to satisfy those feelings by eating and drinking, etc. If there is no food, we will take effort to cook food. We'll make effort to get water. We'll also work hard to earn money to buy food. So then why is this body inert? um, it is showing all the properties of conscious being, right? We have these desires, efforts, and the knowledge. So why do we consider this body as inert? um, and it is easy to get confused, and this confusion can only be eliminated by Sadhguru's teachings from Sarved, which is a treasure trove of spiritual knowledge. We also refer to Sarved as encyclopedia of spirituality, where any spiritual question you have, you will find answers. So from Sarved, we also understand that Jeev, or the Atma, or a soul, is different from body. You know, this body is inert, but the soul that lives within this body is conscious. So the properties that we see, that we correlate with human body or any other body, right? Any other creature's body, those are derived properties, or those are influenced by the properties of soul itself. They are not inherent properties of this body. They are there because the soul lives in this body, right? So the body is inert, but soul which lives within the body is conscious. And the soul is what brings the body, or the makes this body alive. You can consider that, look at it this way, right? Just to understand, it is like a battery which powers the inert body, right? Once this battery is taken out, there is no activity happening in this body, because the all that conscious energy which is required to run this body, or propel this body, or to get anything done from this body, comes from soul. So as long as the soul is in the body, this inert body can perform actions. As soon as the soul leaves this body turns into um, completely inert. It cannot perform any actions. It does not feel any pain. It does not feel hungry. It does not have any emotions. So once a soul leaves body, there is literally no difference between a dead body, because soul is not there, and a stone. They are kind of equivalent. So they are essentially both inert entities. Therefore, it is incorrect to think that this body is conscious entity. This consciousness is actually borrowed or inherited from the soul, which is a true conscious entity. So let's try to understand what is a conscious entity, right? As we discussed earlier in this talk, the conscious entity has three different properties: knowledge, desire, and effort. And we understand now that soul is a conscious entity because soul has these properties. So let's try to understand when soul, how a state of a soul is different when it is in a body and when it is without a body, because that will also help to strengthen our understanding about body being not a conscious entity. So when soul is in a liberated state, it is experiencing eternal bliss because it is in state of union with Supreme Soul, and that is the state of liberation, right? So in that state, the happiness from Supreme Soul or the eternal bliss, which is an inherent property of Supreme Soul, we are experiencing as a soul in union with Supreme Soul. Um, so, soul also has a knowledge in that state because knowledge, desire, and effort, these are the properties, intrinsic properties of a soul or the conscious entity. Um, soul has all three properties. Now it is experiencing the bliss. The knowledge is also there, but there is one subtle difference between the knowledge of Supreme Soul and knowledge of a ordinary soul. Soul is soul has limited um, power, or it has the knowledge of the soul is limited, and it can fluctuate. That's a big difference between knowledge of Supreme Soul and ordinary soul. And because when that knowledge fluctuates, and it develops a contrary knowledge of Aham Brahmasmi, or where it thinks, ordinary soul thinks that I am the Supreme Soul, it starts degrading from the purest form. But it still has the desire for that eternal bliss. And since as it disconnects from Supreme Soul, as the contrary knowledge develops and it keeps on degrading, the desire is still there. So the desire to seek happiness is there, and then it starts seeking that happiness somewhere else, and that's where it starts making effort, and then it gets attracted towards Prakriti, and then the downward fall starts, right, from that contrary knowledge. So you will see that whether the soul is in Baddha state or state of where it is attached with Prakriti and is in the creation, and when it is in liberated state where it is united with Supreme Soul, these three properties are still there. They still play a big role in soul's journey. So what we understand from these two different scenarios is the three properties: knowledge, desire, and effort, they set apart conscious entities from inert entities. So we may ask, right, is soul the only conscious entity? Are there more conscious entities? So that question has also been answered in Swarved. Swamiji writes, Nitya Anadi Shatavastu hai inakara sabha vistar रूप गुण अरुकर्म का व्याख्या सकल पसार चेतन चार स्वरूप है जड़ है एक असार जड़ चेतन से रहित है एक बांध संसार. So Swamiji has defined that there are, total 6 eternal entities, and they basically are responsible for this. These 6 entities um, are responsible for whole creation, etc. Right? So these 6 entities are within these six entities, four are conscious, and one is inert, and one is neither inert nor conscious. So, what are those four conscious entities? Swamiji has mentioned, Supreme Soul Paramatma as one conscious entity, Nityanadi Sadguru as second conscious entity, Akshar Brahma or Cosmic Executor, that's third conscious entity, and Jivatma or the ordinary souls, that's the fourth conscious entity. So these are four conscious entities. There is one inert entity which is Prakriti. We also call it Mool Prakriti, or a modern science may call it as the modern science is still trying to figure out what's the ultimate building block. They have not reached towards to the point where they have identified the Parmanus, which are basic building blocks, or the Mool Prakriti. But that's the only inert entity. The reason why we see different inert entities within this creation is because they are the manifestation of um, the Mool Prakriti. So because of the vibrations of Akshar Brahma, various things will come into picture. But if you really look at it, the basic building block for everything, right, is same. For example, um, if you look at ornaments, right, they are made from gold. So if you consider gold as Mool Prakriti, then different kind of ornaments that you can make from gold, those are kind of creations within this Prakriti. So you can have ring, you can have a necklace, you can have various other type of ornaments made from gold. But the main item, or the core ingredient from which these ornaments are made is the same. It's gold. So similarly, even though we see lot of uh, things in this universe, the basic building block for all of it is Mool Prakriti. The sixth entity, which is neither conscious nor inert, is the Kal or time. But we won't talk much about it in this session, though. We'll only focus on Jad and Chetan. So these four entities, which are conscious, there is one difference between ordinary souls and other conscious entities. The difference is there are innumerous, or there are infinite ordinary souls. However, there is only one supreme soul. There is only one eternal master, or Nityanadi Sadguru, and there is only one Akshar Brahma. And these entities are basically, other entities are there to help soul realize itself, and starts its upward journey. So souls which are in baddha state, or which are in this creation, which have fallen down, the other entities are there to create the environment and guide the soul to its original home, which is the three-fourth quadrant of supreme soul, which is eternal bliss, the state where soul is in conscious state, or super conscious state. So I think that is what I would like to say today. I would have probably spoken a little more if I had a little more time, but this, I think, yeah, I think I'll just take a pause here. Back to you, Rituraji. We can take questions if there are any.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sriranji, for your expertise and in-depth knowledge on this topic. So now it's time for the audience to start the dialogue, and the floor is open. If anybody has any burning desire or any question or any doubt regarding this topic, or any other thoughts that you'd like to share in the same line, please come forward, unmute yourself, and share. We don't have any questions. All right, then, heartfelt thanks to all the participants. Now we have reached to the last phase of this satsang. I request everyone to sit down for Shanti Part. In Shanti Part, we chant for peace for everyone in this universe. May Sadgurudeo bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request Jessica ji to recite the last few lines of Shanti Part for us. Over to you, Jessica ji.
Jai Sri Gurudev. Shanti Bhav. Dear Prabhu Shanti Gurudev. Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti. Shanti Shanti Jana Shanti Ho. Purna Shanti Maya Shanti. Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradana Kara. Dora Ho Sarva Shanti. Deva Sada Vala Shanti Maya. Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Boliya Sadgurudeo Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Yeah. Thank you, Jessica ji, for a soulful recitation of Shanti Part. I would like to thank all of you for joining today's satsang. I encourage everyone to ponder upon the topic we discussed today. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Sulba Soni ji, Srirang ji, and Jessica ji for their seva and active engagement in the session, and for the team behind this for organizing and coordinating the satsang. I pray to Sadgurudeo for peace and spiritual week ahead for all of us. See you all next Sunday at 9 a.m. EST on the same Zoom session. Have a wonderful day and week ahead. Jai Sadgurudeo.